Newcastle summers has been really frustrating. It's been 2 summers in a row they've watched their target after target slip away. Usually when people think about Newcastle, they think about the St. James Park under the light. They think about Alan Shearer. They think about one of the biggest clubs with the most passionate fan base in the world. But this window has become a story of missed opportunities time after time. Newcastle have identified players to watch the deals fall through or choose another project. So today I'm taking on the challenge myself. I'm rebuilding this Newcastle project to get back in the Champions League places, or at least the European places. I want to do a career mode transfer. I want to do FIFA unrealistic transfers. I won't spend 150 million on superstar signing. These are genuinely players that Newcastle can genuinely target, afford, and mostly important players who would be proud to wear this Newcastle jersey in the upcoming season. So stick around because we're gonna build this Newcastle squad position by position. Let's get into it. You already know the drill, so we start with the goalkeeper position. The goalkeeper position that I think Newcastle have really struggled into last season. That's why they wanted to bring in James Trafford. If he wouldn't have gone to Manchester City, we know that they would have recruited James Trafford. So I think this summer, again, Newcastle will target a goalkeeper. They're highly linked to James Trafford again. They're also linked to Zion Suzuki, a goalkeeper that I really like. I think it's time that a top club goes and picks Zion Suzuki from Parma. Again, he has everything to go to a top league, to a top club. I really think that's a solid shout from Newcastle. Also, scouting department. So it makes me think that Newcastle also are working great behind the scenes. Everyone sees the rejections, but they are actually building a coherent squad also behind the scenes. So we know that a new goalkeeper is necessary. Nick Pope is turning 34 years old. His contract will expire in the 2027 season. I keep him for me as a second goalkeeper. I keep him also for the experience. I keep Mark Gillespie, who's the third goalkeeper, also for the home ground position, for also the experience in the dressing room. We know that it's important to keep all these sort of goalkeepers. I loan Ewan Joan, that was signed from the French league, a huge talent with a huge ceiling, a nice goalkeeper that Newcastle United have invested on a lot. I loan him because I don't think he'll get game time, and I don't think it's fair to him to give him a starting role right when he just signed in the English league. I think it's better to loan him maybe to a championship club or in the English division to get more experience. So I'll need to buy a first goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper that I'll target will be no other than James Trafford. I still think James Trafford fits the best at Newcastle. And what was his thinking when he chose Manchester City? Okay, I understand in terms of ambition, Manchester City, when they came calling, you can't refuse them, especially that they hadn't signed Gigi Donnarumma. But I really think the best career move, the best next career move for him has really been always Newcastle United. He's English international. He fits Eddie Howe team exactly. We know that he plays great with his feet. That's the reason he had went to Manchester City. That's the reason Pep Guardiola wanted him back, so he will be comfortable of building the attacks. Eddie Howe wants a goalkeeper who can play with his feet when his team presses high, so that's really nice. He is aggressive on his line. He's only 23 years old. He is the next English starting goalkeeper, home ground, for 40 million. Honestly, that's a no-brainer. So James Trafford is my first signing of the summer. Moving to the centre backs, it will be really quick because I think Newcastle have fixed that role. I think they were looking to add in maybe another player in that role, but I don't think it's needed, especially in a season where they won't be playing in Europe. I think Sven Botman as your left-footed centre back will be really good. I hope he can come back again to his best level, and you can see the sort of ceiling that we all thought he's gonna reach when Newcastle invested high in him. I still think he's an elite area defender. I still think it's really good that he's comfortable playing with his feet. He's calm in possession. I think he's the perfect for that left-footed centre back role, and to partner him in the long term, Malik Teo, I think it's a great deal. Again, he is a defender that is really aggressive also in his style. I think he fits an Eddie Howe system. We saw that he was really good last season. At some point he still makes mistakes, which is normal. He is a young defender, has that pace to cover also, which Sven Botman doesn't really have. So I think the two can complement each other, and we will keep, of course, Fabian Schär for the experience. Also, we know he still have a good level to play. He still has a contract running up till 2027, so we'll let him seek in that year and also keep helping these young defenders develop. And also we have Dan Burn, honestly one of the best guys in the dressing room. We keep him for this dressing room. His qualities also on the pitch are undeniable. We keep him again to compete with Sven Botman, who we can trust on a full season with the injuries that he has. And what's nice with Dan Burn is that he can always play also as a left back also. So we keep Dan Burn and we keep Fabian Schär to cover Malik Thiaw and Sven Botman. For my fullbacks at left back, the player that Newcastle must keep this summer is no other than Lewis Hall. Every player can be a sellable asset for me, but Lewis Hall, that's the kind of player that you have to keep, because again, we saw what he has done last season. Excellent ball progression. He can create overloads in the midfield. His high work rate, his intensity that he plays, he is the perfect Eddie Howe fullback again. And I still think he hasn't even reached, let's say, 60% of his ceiling. There is a lot to come from Lewis Hall. I think if you can even hold on to 2-3 more seasons, you can sell him for a record fee for a defender. Again, you keep him. He is even a future captain material. He doesn't look that he wanna leave, although he did look that he will create a first today. So you keep him. You also keep Tino Livramento at the right back, but Tino Livramento, for me, he is not unsellable for me. If a club comes in, let's say Manchester City comes in with a 60 million offer, it's worth listening, especially with the injuries he's had the last few seasons. Because Tino Livramento had played a lot of minutes, but injuries restricted him last season to around 1,400 minutes. Only 13 Premier League appearances, 3 Champions League appearances. I think, again, if there is a good offer, I would listen. But in my ideal rebuild, I'd keep him, because again, we're talking about a player that has a nice recovery speed. He is an outstanding ball carrier. He presses, again, high with a lot of intensity. Again, this is a nice Eddie Howe player, and I think maybe not playing the Champions League maybe has helped him. Let's see if he can have a full fit season. Again, I think he's one of the most valuable assets, but because I can't fully rely on him on a full season, I'd try something. I'd buy in a player that I will take on loan with an option to buy, and a player that could replace him on the long term if he ever has to leave. And there is an opportunity at Chelsea, because again, Chelsea have 10 defenders. I think the project was maybe to do a starting 11 with only defenders. So I'd use that opportunity to go and take one of their greatest talents, again, at the academy, one of the greatest talents to come from the bridge. Again, they don't really, I think, value him at a high price, so maybe there is an opportunity for a loan with an option to buy around 25-30 million. If you can go get Josh Achampong, I think this would be a great deal. He can cover Livramento. We know that Livramento also can cover Lewis Hall's left back row, so maybe there will be minutes to grab, and there is also minutes to grab maybe at center back role. We know that Achampong can also play as a center back, and you can also promise him the Livramento role if Livramento moves on, maybe this or next summer. So Josh Achampong on a loan would be my ideal right back cover for Livramento. So let's pass to the midfield, where we have to change a lot of things. From the midfield, I'll just take a decision that Newcastle fans maybe will kill me in the comments for, and I want to hear your thoughts if there is Newcastle fan that will be watching this video. But Bruno Guimaraes, he wants to leave. I know that he is the captain. A lot of Newcastle fans really rate Bruno Guimaraes. I do rate Bruno Guimaraes. Honestly, that's not the type of player you want to lose. As a fan, I understand it. As a team, you don't want to lose Bruno Guimaraes. But look, he wants to leave, and you can potentially sell him for 100 million. Why would you refuse that fee? I still think that if Bruno Guimaraes wants to leave, and David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano have confirmed that he want to leave, I'd sell him, especially with the number of midfield that are available out there that you can replace him with. I think 100 million, you have to sell him. And honestly, Newcastle can't keep doing this. You can't keep wanting to keep players against their will. Just take an example on Aston Villa. Aston Villa just won a Europa League, and they have no problem of selling their own valuable players. They just sell the players and they replace him. You can't keep a player that doesn't want to keep. You don't want to see that image. I'm convinced that if Newcastle last season had let Isaac leave area, I think they would have replaced him earlier and they wouldn't have just created all that sort of negativity, and it wouldn't have dragged them back in the season. I still think if a player wants to leave, just leave them and replace them. There is no player that's bigger than the club. You see, like right now that I'm recording, Aston Villa just sold Morgan Rogers for a club record fee to Chelsea. There's no problem. If you have a player, he wants to leave, there is a team that want to pay, just accept it. I understand from the Newcastle perspective that Arsenal are maybe lowballing their offer. That I get it. If they lowball, then you don't sell. But if there is a fee, a high fee, around 100 million, then you let him have his nice challenge. Especially a player like Bruno Guimaraes that has always shown his best. You let him leave and you replace him. So I have a lot of players to replace Bruno Guimaraes. First, we keep Joelinton. Of course, I think he's one of the Premier League's best ball winners. He is the midfielder that represents the most, I think, Eddie Howe system. Honestly, aggressive, elite pressing intensity. He has that physical dominance, especially that also I'll be playing a 4-4-2. I haven't said in the video, but I'll be playing a 4-4-2. For me, he starts in my 4-4-2, and I expect him even to have more importance in the midfield with the departure of Sandro Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes. And to replace him, I think Newcastle are targeting great midfielders. I've seen some targets in the media and I've chosen one of them that I really like, a player that I think, again, has the ceiling to arrive at the level of Bruno Guimaraes, the next Bruno Guimaraes. And I think not a big club has shown massive interest. I don't think a better club than Newcastle have shown massive interest. So this one, if you work on that player, maybe you can convince him and Monaco will sell. I'm talking about Lamine Camara, because Camara doesn't just replace Bruno by copying him. He replaces the intensity, he replaces the ball progression and the defensive awareness that Newcastle need in the midfield. Again, Lamine Camara, we're talking about an excellent progressive passer. He really ranks up high in the French league for the progressive passes. He covers large distances. He is mature beyond his age, honestly, and we're talking about an all-round midfielder. I think he presses Bruno Guimaraes really well, and we're talking about a fee around 50 million. So for half of the price that you would be saying, Bruno Guimaraes should obtain a replacement, maybe who's not Premier League proven as him, but again, who will really be good. And this is the kind of midfielder that Eddie Howe can really improve, and this is also a player that I expect also to have his breakthrough season. We've seen him last season having great performances either at right back, either in midfield. I'm talking about Lewis Miley. He is your homegrown player. He is your player from the academy. I've seen him making great decisions on the pitch last season. I've seen him calm under pressure. I've seen him with an excellent passing range. If you can give him also more trust in the team, if you can give him maybe more minutes, again, make him take more responsibilities, again, I think this is the breakthrough season of Lewis Miley, and he competes for me in that midfield. But I think, again, that midfield is still missing of a ball-playing player. I think with the departure of Sandro Tonali, we need someone better also in possession, someone who will be creative with the ball. Maybe facing against teams that want to sit deep. I think a different profile to what we have, because we have physical monsters out of possession, but I want players who can beat players with the ball at his feet, who can beat players through pressure, and also who can unpack defenses. That player is Lucas Bergwijn. Newcastle have already sent a first offer of 45 million. I think around 50 million makes the deal. I think Lucas Bergwijn wanna leave Newcastle, wanna leave Tottenham also for his progression. You can convince him that he can have a sort of Sandro Tonali or Bruno Guimaraes exposure at Newcastle with the minutes. I think Eddie Howe can really improve Lucas Bergwijn. Again, we're talking about a creative midfielder, progressive ball carrier, incredible, an excellent first touch. His high pressing work rate also would fit this team. Again, I think he adds creativity that would help Newcastle against low blocks. We're talking about a midfielder that was highly ranked or highly linked and rated by Barcelona. Again, this is the sort of talent also that takes Newcastle to a next level. And of course, we keep Joe Willock also for the rotation, and we keep also Jacob Ramsey, who can play there if needed. And for the young Schoenstatt that was signed from Ajax, ideally I would loan him back to Ajax, or if the squad is small, or if we get to sell a player like Joe Willock at the end of the window, I would keep him and give him the minutes of Joe Willock. But ideally, in my ideal rebuild, I'd keep Joe Willock and I'd loan Schoenstatt for more minutes and develop. We know that he has a great ceiling, great talent, so we keep him for development either later. So let's pass to the wingers. Honestly, for the wingers, there is not much work to do because, again, I think Newcastle have targeted the right transition player wingers that would fit, again, the Eddie Howe system. We know how Eddie Howe loves verticality, how he wants to play with transition, especially in a 4-4-2 system. I really think Anthony Elanga fits that role at the right wing. Yes, you've had a deceiving first season with no Premier League goal. It's secretive. I know he has flawed, but again, if you sell him right now, you don't obtain a big fee. It's better that you keep him. You've invested highly. Maybe the second season, that's the season where he reveals himself with keep ups from what he has shown at Forest. Again, Anthony Elanga, you keep him because, again, we see a player with an elite pace. We see a player who's a terrace runner. He works hard off the ball. He's always a consistent thread in behind. So for me, I think he is built for Eddie Howe's vertical football. I'm really sure that Eddie Howe can make him even better. We've seen what he has done at the World Cup. Again, you have to keep Anthony Elanga right now. It's not worth saying. If it would have been last summer, yes, I would have maybe bought another profile or even another player with especially the money they've spent on him. But now he's here, you have to keep him. And on the other side, they've bought a sort of similar player in Bazumana Touré, but who's a great talent. This is a player that was highly linked to Arsenal, that was highly linked to Liverpool. I've watched him at this AFCON. I've discovered him at this AFCON. This is a player that is maybe a bit better in front of the goal than Anthony Elanga, even if they share the same pace, the same directness. This is a player that loves attacking defenders 1v1. He is a direct runner also. I think he has a huge development ceiling, but in the first season, don't expect him to replace Anthony Gordon like for like. But this is a player that will work off hard of the ball, like without the ball. Honestly, this is a player, again, that fits exactly what Eddie Howe wants from his wingers and from his attackers. And in front of the goal, I still think that slowly by slowly, he can maybe replace the Anthony Gordon output of the left. And honestly, to replace him, you have Harvey Barnes, who is a better finisher, who is more Premier League proven. I think he'll bring in experience. And on the right side, you have Jacob Murphy, again, most experienced player, I think, in the squad, maybe with Fabian Schär, player that also will understand what Eddie Howe wants, a terrorist runner, a presser of the ball. I still think in the wingers role, you don't need to buy a player. You also have Jacob Ramsey that can play off the left if ever needed. So for the winger, I won't buy anyone. And for the striker role, again, I think Newcastle have fixed that last season. Yes, they haven't fully exploded. They haven't replaced Alexander Isak, but I still think Nick Vortemade, again, will turn out to be good. Again, the ceiling is there. We have seen it. The technical ability is there. We have seen his excellent link-up play. He can even operate as an attacking midfielder. I think he gives Newcastle a different attacking profile. And in a 4-4-2, as the sort of false 9 or 9.5 player, again, I think he fits that system. Give him another season. It's not easy to come in a new league, coming in a different league than the German football, and just tear everything up. Even if that's what he had shown us in the first games, I still think there is a play in him. Just be patient with him, give him more playing time, and I'm still convinced that he will turn out to be good. Same thing with Yohan Wissa. Everyone has gone out and said, yeah, Yohan Wissa is really not a good player. And I'm still convinced that, yeah, the fee, 60 million for a player that has 12 months running out in his contract. And again, the whole context, how the transfer was dealt with, was really are full, honestly, from Newcastle, but I still think in the player, he has qualities. I still think this is a Premier League striker. He has proved it. You have seen him again at this World Cup with Congo in a partnership with a second striker in Bakambu. We have seen how good he was. Again, Yohan Wissa in a full season without any injuries. We've seen how he presses high. We've seen his elite movement. We've seen him how he attacks the channels. Again, this is a Premier League proven goal scorer. Again, that wanted to wear the number 9 shirt for Newcastle, that wants to prove something in the Premier League at Newcastle. Again, you have to give him another season. Judging him off one season where he came in and missed a half season, again, I still think it's not fair. Give him a full season, partner him with Nick Fortemade in that 4-4-2 system, and I'm pretty sure that they will score loads of goals. And we have also another player that I really love in Willow Sura that will be able to disrupt the order if needed. Again, because Willow Sura, he's a strong presser, also can place across all the front line. He's a long-term development option. He's raw, but he's still an explosive athlete, can score loads of goals, can come in as a super sub. We've seen him, and these are the players that are hungry to prove something at Newcastle, that you have to keep him. I know that last season they wanted to sell at Frankfurt. Please, Newcastle, you have to keep this kind of player, and I'm pretty sure that with this attack, Newcastle can get back in Europe. So guys, what do you think about these intense players? I've built a team that is around pretty much intensity players that can sustain an aggressive press for 90 minutes. We know that Eddie Howe, that's his philosophy, that's what he will want from his team. Again, I've bought in players for around 150 million. I've sold Bruno Guimaraes for 100 million, so my net spend will be around 50 million, which will be good, which will be enough. Also, the PSR issues, guys, I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Which team should I rebuild next? Again, Newcastle fans, if you're here, what do you think about this rebuild? Is there any player that you would have either signed? And if you enjoyed this video, and if you enjoyed a rebuild video, I have also rebuilt another mythic English club, another big English club in Manchester United. If you haven't seen it, I'll put it here in this video. So guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.